Well, hey guys, welcome to the studio. Today we've got the Donner DED-200 electronic drum set. It's set up here. We've been putting it through some tests, and we've got one question. Does it have a place in your home recording studio? The short answer is yes, but we're going to get to why. Let's get to it. Now, I started this adventure knowing very little. Donner, Chinese company, inexpensive stuff. I do have one of their old multi-effect pedals from a couple of years ago. It's phenomenal. It was $70 and I'm in love with it. But they make electronic drums. And I know it's under $500, which is a little bit sketchy of a price for an electronic drum kit. But watch for discount codes. You can save a few bucks on this. Also, shipping seems to be free. Also, they don't seem to be collecting tax for some reason, like when you order something from like Sweetwater. Now, this thing arrived for me on the East Coast in New York here, out of LA, 5 business days, so it came ground. It's packaged very well. It's labeled in boxes that make a lot of sense. The instruction manual is actually very good with pictures. You don't need to go crazy trying to figure anything out. You don't actually need any tools other than what they provide you, which is a small screwdriver for one little bit, and then there's a drum key like a normal drum set that you need to tighten the whole thing together. I took my time, and it took me about 90 minutes to build it. Wiring was very easy. There's wires that are labeled what you attach them to, and then it's like a harness, like an old printer port that shoves into the bottom of the module. 2 screws hold it in. Seems pretty solid. And I know the main goal in this studio is to be able to capture a live drumming performance and get it into my DAW and use, in my case, Abbey Road drums. There's a variety of types, to get it to sound like an acoustic drum set being played by a human. Can it do it? Yeah, let's take a look at how. Now, this thing seems to be plug and play. I ran into one small hiccup, which was the first tom was triggering a cymbal. Everything else lined up to where it should have been right in Abbey Road drums. Very simply, I just went to Abbey Road drums and said, capture MIDI, hit the tom, and said crash. I just changed that to tom 1, no problem. Here's what I was able to capture. This is my first 8 bars that I played, just with an audible metronome beat. We'll have no discussion of my timing. It is well known that I have lost my timing in a car crash. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Here we go. Notice the velocities on the bottom here. I think it captured my feel, for what it's worth. The big question is, will drummers be able to deal with this? Yes, but I think you got to be a little bit tricky about it. First off, the onboard sounds in the drum kit are actually pretty good. I run a little keyboard amp kind of right next to their head. They play, they're hearing the actual sounds from the module in real time. 0 latency. Because drummers, you give them, 20 milliseconds of latency and they're like, oh, I can't possibly do this. Chances are, if they're listening to a VST in your DAW and playing, that little bit of latency is going to screw them up. For me, it doesn't make any difference. They monitor using the onboard sound so that they can play accurately, but I'm capturing it as MIDI. I don't even bother capturing the audio out of the device. Once it's MIDI in my DAW, I can assign it to any style drum kit that I like and get excellent results and editing capabilities. So let's talk about the pros and cons of this particular set. First off, the cymbals are dual zone. You have one sound hitting it in one area and a different sound hitting it in another area. Also with choke capability, you can hit it, grab it, choke the sound off. The snare is also two-zone with rim shot on the rim. The three toms are one zone, something to keep in mind. The mesh heads had a good feel and a good rebound. It did come with a set of sticks, 5A, no-name 5A sticks. Good bounce and good for me to kind of get rolls and with my limited capabilities as a drummer. The sounds are good in this module. I think they give you 15 different kits. You can reassign sounds. It does have like onboard reverb and EQ that you can adjust as well. It also has velocity curves that you can change how it's responding depending on how heavy-handed you are to a limited kind of a degree. It's pretty good. The only real cons that I found are the editing directly on the module. It's a little bit convoluted. It's a little bit kind of weird to use. It's like a menu hidden in a sub-menu to change things like the velocity or the volume of a sound for the onboard sounds. And when you're in editing, whatever tom you hit, that's the tom you're editing, which totally makes sense. But if you take more than a couple seconds to do it, it reverts back to main screen and you're hitting, pluses or minuses and changing the kit number because it snaps itself out of editing after a couple seconds. You just need to stay on top of it and stay focused on your editing. And will drummers like it? Well, do drummers really ever like anything? Who knows? Who can tell? I talked to my nephew James, if you watched our previous video, before I made a purchase and chose the Donner, and he made a few points that if I had spent up, I would have gotten a few more features, like a larger snare drum is something that he thought would have made a little bit more sense for me. So we see kits like this go up into the thousands of dollars range. You can get this in your studio for under $500. Again, watch for those discounts. There's a good one right now through tomorrow. 5%, 10%, maybe a little bit more. Something worth jumping on. And is it worth having it in your studio? I'm going to give it Steve's Recording Tips thumbs up. Yeah, I think for under $500, just to have the ability to say to a drummer, yes, you can come and drum, and as long as you stick with a click or whatever sort of edict I pass on to them, they should be able to play their drums into MIDI, and I can process it in a VST and get pro sound. Well, guys, I had a lot of fun putting this together. I hope you had a good time watching it, and we got a lot of work to do. Let's get to it.